Hello and welcome to Orrs Park. Well, it looks like overnight we've had a bit of a snow. Well, not overnight, more this morning than anything, to tell you the truth. Started out raining last night, this front moved in, and through about half the day it snowed on us. Got a little bit of covering, maybe about an inch, 2 inches, something like that. Puncha's got a little bit of a blanket on him. As well as these two. This is the Opuntia Pina Colada that I got from Anna of Cactus Caffeine. Thank you, Anna. So far, it's doing pretty well. It's already been through single-digit temperatures. But today's video really is stuff to dress up your cacti and succulents. And what I mean by that is not little hats and fake flowers and brightly colored things like that. More earthy things like rocks, crystals, fossils, arrowheads, and maybe some kinds of pottery. So let's go check some things out. Now, some of the things you can use, and I'll begin with things that are simple, are rocks. Rocks are very simple. And they kind of add a little addition to your plantings. And I even have some set aside right here, just in case rocks. And even in my bigger plantings. Now these rocks come local from around here. See that? I like these kind of holy rocks. Different rocks with textures. And I'm sure about anywhere where anybody lives, rocks can be found pretty easily. Let's say like here. These little rocks, these limestone rocks we have here with these holes in them are very common around here. And you find them in certain areas. And so I picked them up quite a bit. Find them a lot. And they add a bit of interest to the plantings. Even maybe just a little accent rock down there. Now, some of the other little things here are like really earthy pots. Nothing bright colored or anything like that. Just earthy, kind of blends in with the scenery. I don't have too many of these. I think I have maybe 2 of these is one of them. But it adds to that little planting. Now, right behind it, what we have here is actually a piece of, it's a fossil. It's a piece of petrified wood. If you look closely at it, it's kind of crystallized on the inside. The petrified wood's a pretty neat thing you can use to offset your plantings. See there. Another thing you can use, which we find pretty often around here, and this may not be everywhere, so this is kind of a have them where you live. But these are pieces of arrowheads and stone artifacts. Find a lot of them in the farm fields and such here. And for every really good piece that you find of these, you're going to find many, many, many broken ones. See there? I have absolutely tons of these things. I used to walk farm fields and walk around the entrances of caves and stuff in the area. Here in the Ozarks, we have lots of caves. And these areas in prehistory were used by Native American peoples as shelters. And so they leave behind a lot of the things that they used. Tools, arrowheads, and such. And so we find lots of these in the fields and the caves and all around here. And these things are quite old. from like archaic times all the way about 9,000 years back, all the way up to say like woodland times, say about 400 BC up. A lot of these stone tools were used. Now, a lot of these broken ones, since you find so many of them in the fields and such, I've used almost like a top dressing because I have lots of these. I have bags of these. Because in a lot of the farm fields that are down by the rivers, these were areas that were campsites. And so a lot of this is basically the trash that was left behind, broken tools and arrowheads and such that were left behind. And yes, I do find good ones, and I will show you some of these in a bit. Some of the nicer things you can use, and a lot of them are really nice ones I don't use too much. Here's some here. See some of the nicer ones there, and some little bitty ones, which are the bird points. Bird points are supposed to be for smaller game and such. But used around there as accents and so forth. Here's actually a good example of some of the rocks and stuff that I've used in this broken pot setting. It makes a good accent. Looks like the cactus is growing right out of the rocks. I kind of like this one. It was kind of an accident. I bought this pot brand new, opened the door of my truck. It fell right on out and broke. And I was bound and determined to use it anyway since I just bought it. So I was able to use it and utilize it, and it came out really nice. Piece of petrified wood back there, another fossil. A couple of pieces of it. Those two pieces there on the end here, petrified wood. There's just a big limestone rock. A couple little geodes there. Now one of the other things is fossils. And I'm a trilobite fan. I have quite a few of these. I see. I'll be in the house here in a minute. I'll show you some nicer ones of these. But I really like the trilobites, and they make a nice little addition. There's another one of my euphorbias with a rock there. Say we find lots of these little holy rocks around here. So I use them quite a bit. They make real great accents. All right, let's go inside. This is another example of how rocks can be used. Not only for overall look. You see here, this really awesome mammillaria, Albaspina, Tegelbergiana. These rocks are also functional on this one. These rocks are actually holding this up. A lot of times I cage my mammillarias so they don't fall over. This one's growing really tall and was going to fall over. So I wedged these little holy rocks in around it to give the effect of growing out of the rocks. Here's an interesting thing. This is one of the mammillarias that has a white sap. Kind of like a euphorbia almost. See that? It's kind of hardened up like pine resin. Pretty interesting. Some of these mammillarias like Haniana and this one have this. But they are not euphorbias in any way. But they are. They do have that sap to kind of deter predators, along with all those many spines. Beautiful plant. Had this plant about 38 years. Got it at a tiny nursery in Temple City, California. Anyhow, some other examples of rocks. You can use geodes. Geodes always look great in the middle of a cactus arrangement. Big amethyst geode. There. Little little chunk of amethyst. And these are sand roses. And all these will look pretty cool with your cactus and succulents. Big gray one. Really nice piece. Little quartz crystal cluster. Crystals also look very nice with your plants. As I say, sometimes it's just a matter of a little accent rock, like this one. Fossils are another thing you can use, as I pointed out there in the greenhouse. There's an ammonite. One of my trilobites. A sand dollar, a sea urchin. Another variety. This is a really cool trilobite. Sticking up there on a rock. Look great in any cactus arrangement or next to a cactus. You see? This very large trilobite. He's so well preserved, you can see the multi-cells in the eyes. Little horn sticking up on his nose. He's actually kind of slid up over this hump here, and he's come apart. You can see he slid down part way. Trilobites are my absolute favorite of them. Much like here, used in my little gecko enclosure, I use them in here too. There. Fossils are really awesome and look great with cacti and succulents. Big one there. And the other thing I mentioned, of course, was these stone artifacts, Native American paleo artifacts. Well, I shouldn't say paleo, but prehistoric. Glass is a little shiny there, but some of these I found just not too far from the park, right here. Let me see if I can get a better view on this. There we go. Took the glass out of the way to get out the glare. Take a good look at some of these. Found this one in a cave that's just about a couple of miles from here, down in the river. It's been over 30 years ago, but took it out of the sand right next to the opening. Tiny little bird point. About 95% of these I found. Others were found by my family. This center one here was found by my mother. Awesome point. And my step-grandfather found this one. It's what they call a North Point. It's the precursor to a Smith basal notched, which is much like this. Many of these I found in on creek banks and, as I say, in your caves and farm fields. This one was found just not too far from the park. Had a boat access they were building on the river. Found that one many years ago. Some very nice points. Knife blades. Yeah. All these ancient artifacts. But being that they're stone and everything, they go well. If you want to display them as a living display, around your cacti and succulents. The polished granite axe head. Funny thing about this, a lot of these little bird points, not all, but many, on this axe head were found in one small area. In an area down on a creek where a lot of kids like to park and party and so forth. The area's not there anymore because they built a new bridge and it's gone now. But I would go there during the day when nobody was there and look around and actually flipped this out of the ground. It looked unusual. I flipped it out of the ground. It's a stone axe head. Polished on one point. I think they all look they also call this ads, I believe. It's an awl or a punch. Many different points and blades here. In the Ozarks, these are quite common around farm fields when they plow the fields. The only bad thing is that it breaks them up so bad. And this one was actually run over by a bulldozer and it broke it in half. And I put it back together. Construction sites, find them at construction sites. But yeah, arrowheads look great around cacti. Some round blades. Corner there. Some of these were just found just digging around my family's property up north. Whenever you plant a tree or dig for a garden, usually you find something up there. They live above the junction of two creeks. Very good place for campsite. Anyhow, just wanted to show you some of these awesome things you can put in with your cacti and succulents and dress them up. And I don't mean those flashy little fake flowers and stuff like that either. Even small, tiny knife blades. Look at that. Tiny little knife blades. They had tools for everything. See that? Very small. This is how small these are. Tiny. Knife blades and arrowheads. Anyhow. This is Clyde Morris from Morris Park. I hope I gave you some ideas and how to dress things up a little. Take care. One other thing I want to show you is this. The small stone ball. It's been ground down smooth. I found this in the field with, I found a lot of the arrowheads, as a matter of fact. We call these a game ball. They're not very common. You don't find them very often. So kind of a neat find. This could be put in with one of your cactus too. Pretty cool, huh? Okay. Y'all take care out there.